Hey, everybody, and welcome to another Outsider Talk episode. My name is Pat, and I first want to start with saying I know people have been waiting for me to talk about this subject, and I haven't done so, which is, well, technically, yes, I haven't done so openly on YouTube. I actually made a video that's about 20 minutes long, and I edited it, everything, and right before publishing it, I went up and decided to hold off because it was a little bit raw. However, we're going to talk about the whole saga of what the heck is going on with Tesla firings and hirings and everything to do with the Supercharger network. So let's start right now. About a week ago, or actually it's almost 2 weeks ago now, we got news that, well, everybody got news that Tesla was firing its entire supercharging team, the people in charge of the supercharger networks, including the chief herself, Rebecca Tanucci. Now, here's what we gather from reading articles and such. Essentially, right before that, we had the much broader firing by Tesla, which was 10% of its workforce. 1,400 people got sent out the door. Now, I'm not going to go over the details on my speculations of why they're doing that. I know I've seen plenty of superfan channels just saying, oh, this is a great thing, skimming the fat off the bone or whatever it is, making it a leaner, meaner machine. Truth be told, it's never a good sign. When companies just do massive layoffs and you combine that with very bad quarters that have been reported recently with Tesla, it is never a good sign. I'm just going to leave it at that. They're not the only one. Everybody in the automotive department is firing, but it just seems like super fans are the only one thinking that this is a great sign. It's not. Get over it. Tesla is trying to cut costs because obviously they need to increase those profit margins. Period. That's it. That's all there is to it. But in this particular case, what happened is there was a meeting between Rebecca Tanucci and Elon Musk himself, because she was the one now reporting directly to him. And she reported to him that they had laid off, as part of that mass layoff, between 15 to 20% of her team. Everybody thought that meeting was going to be going pretty well, and that Musk would end up being pretty happy with the results. Turned out he was completely the opposite. He was extremely upset and said she had to do more, and she actually pushed back a little bit. I guess she hasn't been working directly with him that much, because even I know that that's never a good thing. Although a good sign of leadership is somebody who listens to those immediately underneath them. You don't have to do everything they say, but you listen. Then Elon Musk just went and fired the whole team, including Rebecca herself as well. So what followed suit from there? Who took over all this responsibility of superchargers? Well, that actually fell under his energy team, which are the ones in charge of, the solar powers and batteries and power walls and such. They just threw that on their lap. And reports came in that a lot of contractors, a lot of people that were actually building or preparing for supercharger networks to be built and stuff were just getting I don't know replies from that department. Nobody seemed to know what was going on. A lot of people, a lot of companies didn't no longer had any point of contact. Former employees that were part of the super team were still fielding phone calls from contractors, phone calls from companies and stuff asking them what is going on, but they no longer work there. So what's there to say? Which, look at the obvious, the optics are not good. That company looked like it was in mass turmoil, and it was. Anybody that's going to tell you otherwise, YouTube super fan channels of Teslas, I've watched quite a few that did a real positive spins on this. I'm going to note that Sandy Munro was one of them, saying that this was just good business and such. No, it was not. How do we know that? He's rehiring these people, including the executives. Not only that, he's hiring how many? 500 people for this particular department. And how many people did he actually fire? 500 people. Because that's what Rebecca Tanucci had gotten the department down to, 500 people. And that's what she said is what she needed to maintain a good operational team. And he just decided to fire it all because, knee-jerk reaction, and man-child will do what man-child wants. So, that being said, don't tell me that this was all part of a plan and that he saw this a mile ahead when he's reversing course as we speak. It's just simple. He made a mistake and now they're trying to fix it. They saw that, maybe this executive that was in charge of the supercharging network knew what she was talking about and decided to actually adhere to what she was saying. Yeah, 500 people, that's what he fired. 500 people, that's what he's hiring. And that's coming from multiple sources. She put in the link, one article that I found that had really great insight into the inner workings. Now, a lot of people may be wondering, why is he reversing course? Why? Well, look at it this way. Every manufacturers that sells EVs in North America have now agreed to adopt NACS, the North American Charging Standard, the Tesla Supercharging Standard, essentially, the Tesla chargers. They've decided to adopt those. So you're in the process of taking over, setting a standard, which is a great thing. I know I'm not Tesla's biggest fan, but having those chargers, which are actually one of the more reliable ones, standard across North America is a great idea. Now, having just one company produce them, not so much. I believe that competition is what's going to keep things even. We'll see how that pans out. But those are the most reliable chargers, and they are more of those. They actually make up 60% of the chargers in the United States are Tesla Superchargers. And it's also why the Fed is giving them $5 billion in funding and expanding that supercharger network. That's got to come into context here. If I'm a Fed, anybody who works at the Fed in charge of this deal, and I'm like, wait, what? We're going to fund you $5 billion, but you just shit can the whole department and you're going to be scaling back expansion? This is not what the money's for. The money is for you to expand, because what are the two biggest complaints people have? Here, comment below. What are the two biggest complaints people have when switching to EV or thinking about switching to EV? Charging time, infrastructure. Those are the two biggest things. And you're going to tell me that the infrastructure is perfect right now the way it is, and that we don't need to expand. We don't need a R&D team. You don't need you don't need to build future sites. The reason why most Americans are not switching to EVs is because they don't want to line up to charge, and they don't want to charge for an hour just to get going again. They want to make it faster. You need your R&D team to do that. They need to not wait in line. Well, you need to expand the network, not just, carry on as is and just maintains the one you have. That is not good enough. That's what we want. And that's what Tesla, or Elon completely canceled when they did that. And that's why they're reversing course no less than a week after they made that decision. Because don't be confused, there was turmoil. Nobody could reach anybody. There were actually reports of companies contacting YouTubers that had contacted Tesla and asking them, do you have anybody I can contact? That is not good business. That's not keeping your customers happy. That is knee-jerk reactions. And that's not giving people a lot of faith as far as transitioning to EV. And you're not keeping to your word to all those companies that you sign agreements with to use your NACS, or your clientele that actually have Teslas, but now they have to compete at the supercharger stations with Rivians, Fords, Volvos, Volkswagens, Nissans, every Stellantis company, General Motors. Not only do you Tesla people have to compete with each other, now you have all these people. What's the lineups gonna be? Because everybody's gonna go for those chargers. They're the most reliable one. You got 99% uptime, which is claimed by Tesla. And then you're telling us that you're cutting costs and you're just going to work on improving uptime. If your uptime is 99%, then why you're trying to improve that? Improve on expanding the network. That's what people want. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. What was your take on this whole fiasco, if you ask me, of massive layoffs and then getting rid of a whole department, assigning it to another department who had no idea what they were doing, and then rehiring the old department people that you fired in the first place just to try to get things going because you're getting $5 billion in federal funding and you got a shit ton of money from other manufacturers for them to be able to use your supercharger. It's just my take. Let me know what your take is. My name is Pat, and this is Outsider Reviews. Signing off.